to the 4 o'clock over across Guyana. Same loud now on your radio. And this afternoon we'll be joined by a special delegation. We'll be joined by the Honorable Prime Minister. Mark Phillips, and Minister of Public Works, Juan Edghill. And they're here generally to give some updates on the situation. Remember, we had some flooding happening in Linden, where some residents were heavily affected. They had all sorts of situations that were misconstrued, and of course we have the Honorable Minister, Prime Minister here to speak to some of those, and the Minister of Public Works to address what will be happening and what is the standpoint of the government to address all the issues that were raised due to the flooding and some of the concerns that residents may have out there, and of course to clear up some of what has been misconstrued and being pushed out there. Let me say good afternoon to you both gentlemen. First, I must say good afternoon to the Honorable Prime Minister. Thank you for being here with us to share this update, and good afternoon to you, Minister Juan Edghill. I know you were here to give some updates as we got ready for the Independence Festival, where you're here this afternoon on some different business as it relates to the flood situation in Linden. Let's start with Minister Juan Edghill and to give some updates as to the flood relief situation and some of what you guys have been receiving as a government.
Well, thank you very much. Both myself and the Prime Minister had traveled on Monday to attend the SIDS conference, Small Island Development States Conference, to deal with the challenges of climate change and some of the very same things that we are affecting. At 3:30 in the morning Tuesday, the Town Clerk, Mr. Lennox Gasper, woke me up with a phone call to indicate to me that we were having some situations of flooding. The government of Guyana was engaged and has remained engaged since 3:30 a.m. Tuesday morning. So that's the first thing I want to put on board. The Town Clerk was actually in the fields on his phone giving updates on what was put in place. What the government of Guyana did was to put together a multi-agency response. Let me start with the seniority, the Office of the Prime Minister, Civil Defense Commission, the Ministry of Agriculture, National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, the Ministry of Public Works, the Regional Executive Officer, the Town Clerk, BOSAI, and all the other stakeholders who responded to us. And we started working to ensure that we bring relief to people. And when we talk about relief, the first thing people need when they are affected is to help them to get out of the situation they are in. And for us, in terms of a policy direction, from the PBPC, we put people first. And what we were seeking to do is to alleviate the suffering of the people. Notice, our response was not with Facebook Live to complain and tell people, look what happened here, and look what happened there, and look what happened there. Our response from central government, the mobilization of equipment, contractors, personnel, whatever was required to get the water off the land and from the homes and the bottom flats of people where they were affected. And I think it's a good time for us to say a big thank you to all those who went beyond normal, beyond the call of duty, the engineers from both NDIA There's a Ministry of Public Works, the CDC that came up, responded very swiftly, BOSAI, and a number of the community leaders, both including the town clerk, who remain engaged, as well as the REO, making the resources of both the municipality and the region that they had available to them to get some of the work done. Members of the media helped with some of the sharing of information to ensure that nobody's life was in danger. So I believe a good place to start is by saying, thank God nobody died.
And yes, if I may interject, this whole situation was due to heavy torrential
rainfall. And we need to put this in perspective. I sometimes I think that some of the people, especially the elected officials in Linden, like they only wear a lens that says Linden. The water's off the land in Linden. In the entire Region 9, where you cross the Priara Bridge today, my staff, engineers that were going to meet Minister Ndar, who's doing an inspection along the entire corridor, the water was higher than the height of the wheels and was getting into the vehicle. And that's on top of a high bridge at Priara. That was the level of the water. Rain fell excessively. And people need to understand that we had a rainfall that averaged 170 millimeters within a particular period. Yeah. And you can go on your phone and you can do the ask Google to convert 170 milliliters to inches, and you will see that's how many inches of rainfall within overnight of what was transferred. We had an unusual amount of rainfall. Notwithstanding that, there were things that could have been done and should have been done that was not done, that led to the heavy water that went into people's homes. We went around Linden today. The Prime Minister led this engagement. And we didn't just stay on the main roads. We went into the communities, into the alleys. You can't have food boxes, sandbag, arrow leaf growing in the drench and don't get flood in front of you. There are things that residents could have done. And I think this is the time when we must be able to say to residents, you have some amount of responsibility. You have to keep your surroundings clear. There are things that the municipality should have done. And you see this nice speechifying that we have coming from the mayor. Sometimes it's pathetic. It is pathetic that you could sit and do a live and try to switch the blame. You went across Linden and told the people, elect us. We can take care of your interests. The PPPC did the same thing. Our local candidates did the same thing, but the people said we want the AP and UAFC to be at the mayor and town council. And you know what the gentleman is doing? Telling the people who elected him to do what he told them he would do, that the government did not do it. That's what he's saying. He went and told them how what a glorious town he's going to make Linden, and how he's going to make Linden great and all the rest of it. And he's now complaining that the government is not doing what he promised the people to do. And I challenge them. Provide evidence of one video. He has a good following on Facebook, and I will look at it. The chairman and the vice chairman just provide one video to show a cleaning exercise undertaken by the Mayor and Town Council or the RDC in the year January to May 2024. So he's saying we have long dry weather, we could have done what we could have done, we could have done. Let him provide the evidence that he cleaned one drain in his municipality, where he is the chief citizen. They collect rates and taxes. Under 2801, they have a responsibility to provide certain services. Let them provide the evidence that they did. What we are doing is an emergency intervention. So I thought I would just put that in perspective at the start this afternoon.
Great. Of course, residents, I think we were all poised to this heavy rainfall coming between the month of May and June by the Metallurgy or the Met Office, that we'll be having some heavy rain, after a very long dry spell. So the fact that we're having heavy rainfall and some persons are being displaced by flooding and stuff like that, we want to know if there is any particular agencies that should be blamed or carry the blame. And the fact that some persons are affected, and you guys are here to, as the Minister of Public Works, to see works carried out and see relief happening. I think we want to, that's showing responsibility as well. So we want to.
But if I tell you about taking blame, regions 7, 8, and 9, and 10 were heavily affected as a result of the rainfall.
Yeah.
If you see a statement coming out from the Ministry of Public Works last night, we named a particular contractor for the mishap that transpired in the Kurupakari to Lethem Railway. Because our engineers, in preparation for this rainy season, went out and said to every contractor, you have a responsibility to maintain this thoroughfare. Rain is coming. Remove the cofferdams. We wrote all of our engineers across the country to inform all the contractors, local roads, remove the cofferdams because water got to flow, rain is coming. At that breakaway, the contractor who should have been there was not there. That is why we named him last night. You are contracted, you have a bypass while you're building out a big bridge. You have to maintain that bypass. If the contractor was there and his men were on site, they would have never allowed that truck to pass. Because it's the fact that the truck was attempting to pass unsupervised. Yeah. It got stuck. They tried to move, and then the water started going through the cracks, and it moved. The driver was already out of the truck when it toppled because he was stuck, and the water started to come through the cracks that were there. Now, warnings went out, but I don't think everybody took us seriously. And wherever internally in-house, whether it's the Ministry of Public Works, engineers, or contractors, they will have to face responsibility for that. In Moko, we had some flooding of some farmlands. Instructions went to the contractor to remove the cofferdams. Well, he didn't remove the cofferdams. The NDIA had to remove the cofferdams. NDIA will be paid for that work from his contract sum. That's the kind of action we are taking. So, in case you wanted to know where that is going, so.
So, folks, if you just joined us, we're giving a live update here. We're live on NSIN as well. And we have our Prime Minister, retired Brigadier Mark Phillips, in studio this afternoon alongside Minister of Public Works, Juan Edghill. And they're here to give updates and to address the tongue and by far the nation as to what is the situation and the developmental works that are happening right now with persons that have been affected by the flood situation across the regions that were heavily affected. Let us shift our attention to our Prime Minister. Honorable Minister, good afternoon, and thank you for being here with us. I've been seen on Facebook, see you yourself doing some works there, helping to, I don't know if you were cleaning or
He opened the hole for the water to drain at the Contractor Bridge.
Yes.
Thank you, DJ Dan.
That's right.
Good afternoon to the people of Linden. What you saw on video there was me just trying to show how simple it is.
Yeah.
Right?
To maintain.
To help in
Yes.
maintenance. Everybody has a role in helping. So if you see something is going wrong, you can fix it.
Yeah.
But having said that, I want to, at this stage, empathize with the people of Linden who suffered the flooding. Okay, we went there, we walked around the community, we listened to some of the people. I'm satisfied that a lot of work has been done from Monday to now. Most impressive, this is perhaps the fastest, well-coordinated response to disaster anywhere in Guyana since I have assumed the office as Prime Minister. So I want to commend the people of Linden, right, who were involved in that response. I mean, you heard about the Ministry of Public Works, you heard about BOSAI, you heard about NDIA, but the people of Linden must hear about Orange Skinny Wilson, and they must hear about Aubrey Shanghai Major, and they must hear about their regional exec officer, Mr. Dwight John, and they must hear about my friend here, the town clerk of Linden, right? Whom Mr. Mayor is still to accept as his town clerk. This man here, Mr. Gaspar, what's your first name again? Lennox Gaspar, is ready to work. Is ready and rearing to work in the interest of the people of Linden. He is qualified for the job. Perhaps you can see he's overqualified for the job. And you know, I don't like to talk race, but he's an African Guyanese who's ready and willing to work with whoever is the mayor and whoever the councillors. This is not PPP versus PNC or PPPC versus APNUAs. This is a town clerk who's ready to work with the elected officials at the local government, municipal government level in Linden. He was not imposed on the mayor and town council. He was properly selected for that appointment because he's qualified. He's from Linden. He's aware of the issues affecting the people of Linden. And who better can you put in a position to work in the interests of the people than someone from the community? A leader who was measured by his community and found to be performing is now elevated to the office of the town clerk. And we need to give him the support. And that's my message to the mayor, right? What the people need in Linden is a mayor who can make less speeches and spend more time going around and fixing what needs to be fixed. We have a situation, and I grew up and I never heard about Linden flooding to the extent that it was flooded over the last 96 hours ago. Right? You had some flooding here and there. You had a dam break at Nikadak, the flooded areas. That might be an industrial accident. But yes, we had heavy rainfall, and I come into that later.
Yeah.
Right? But we had a case of the heavy rainfall and its effect compounded by neglect. Neglect, and I dare say ineptitude, by one Mayor Rahim Sharma Solomon and his councillors, who failed the people of Linden in this regard.
You know, yes,
I finish, and I want to make the point, Mr. Mayor, let good sense prevail, let maturity takes the high ground and start working with our town clerk. You know, we decided that we're gonna have the flag raising here. We didn't get the support of the mayor. We didn't get the support of the councillors. We didn't get the support of the regional chairman and the RDC. And they waited at the last minute to say that they weren't informed and they weren't properly invited to get on board. I particularly asked the town clerk, he invited the mayor and councillors to be part of the cleanup the Saturday before the flag raising. He said yes, he invited them. Nobody turned up. And you know what? Because at the time we cleaned just the environs of the facility where we're gonna host the flag raising as the sports club ground, and we took it on our own to clean the drains in front of the mayor office too. And perhaps it's the reason why that wasn't flooded. Nowhere around there flooded, right? No, because we cleaned it. And now we see the mayor and the town council have done that on a routine basis throughout Linden. We would have had no flooding in Sunflower Street. We would have had no flooding in Forest Alley, Second Alley, Third Alley, Poker Street, you know, Karakara, you know, Nikadak, all these areas that we went. There is a lot of work that could have been done on a routine basis, and the people of Linden would not have been affected as they were affected. It just called for some planning. The mayor is educated, he went to university. He boasts about his university education. Right? The mayor knows that we went through what we call the El Nino weather phenomenon. And we had an expectation of 2 or 3 rainfalls ago that was non-existent. in the sense that we had a prolonged dry season.
Yeah.
The government of Guyana worked with all the regional systems. Because we know that after onwards, to work with the mayor, to work with the regional chairman, to stop the blame game, right? And let us all put our shoulders to the wheel to make this town a better place, a safer place for the people of Linden, and make the region 10 safer for all the people of this region. I have more to say before to gospel or bishop.
Well said, Prime Minister. I think what we're discussing here this afternoon is to clearly allow persons to understand that it's a situation where we need not blame each other but work together in ensuring that the residents and persons aren't extremely affected to that extent. And it surely seems like a lack of continuous maintenance. Partly for some of what we expected, but let's shift things over to the Templar, Mr. Lennox Gasper. A lot of persons have been affected, and the interest now is to how what is the assistance, and what is the drive of that assistance to the residents or to the persons that have been affected. Mr. Gasper, good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
All right. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. And Lindeners, I must say that the night of the heavy rainfall, I was called out about 2:30, and I did venture out. I went into the areas, and I saw firsthand what was happening and what persons were experiencing on the ground. I did drive around the central area that was cleaned up for the independence celebration ceremony, and I want to state and to dispel the notion that because of that cleanup that would have resulted in flooding. Had that cleanup not happened, Central would have been worse in terms of the hit as well as retrieve area, because that that Silver Valley Road with a creek behind the sports club ground was cleared. All the water coming out of retrieve area, and those persons living in that community, it was eased tremendously, because there is a neighbor next to me right in retrieve that I know does flood when the rain drizzled. She was not flooded when I came out and I drove around. The area by Republic Bank that had a little water, that was because of the blockage for the runoff in front by churches in that drain. And so this is where I need to say to residents, persons who are vending along the road, vending at the Co-op Crescent area, the indiscriminate dumping, because when we did our checks, it was more or less blockage, not necessarily the flooding, but clogging that resulted in the backup of the water at the Republic Bank. And this is not new. This is a norm, and the NCN knows at that Citizen Bank area, it is flooded, waters even go in the bank.
Yeah.
So I don't know what is being peddled, what statement is being peddled by the mayor and councillors that, oh, there is no cleaning and how much million that was spent and this still happened. It would have been worse. And most of it, when we look, it was as a result of indiscriminate dumping by garbage, of the garbage, the disposal of garbage, and that needs to be corrected even as we continue. I must say it, disaster do happen. And when disaster happen, it is all about the quick response.
That's
and
right.
I must commend this government for the quick response. The government, in collaboration with the NDIA, the Civil Defense Commission, the CDC, the RDC, and the MNTC, we moved into action right away. Not only that, by the next day, they were the cleaning agents that were sent up and distributed. That's the fastest distribution I've ever seen. Distributed to almost every person. I have a list of names that I will not go to choose to call out on this radio.
Yeah.
But every person who were touched in every area to be able to get the cleaning, the detergents and other cleaning stuff.
Yeah.
And they are making moves to have the food,
Based on needs, on a need basis.
Right, on a need basis. For those persons who were displaced, I made sure I asked. I went to the persons and I asked them, do you have a place to stay? Do you have a place to go? Because we are moving into action to get shelters. Almost every person, and this just showed the good nature of Lindeners. We do not leave our people out. People's friends and family came to their rescue. So almost everybody said, I have a place, I have a family, I have a friend. I remember the people when Mr. Yaw from the fire station called me at 2:30 in the morning. He said, I have some family here. I said, yes, I'm out and I'm at the council. I'm coming to your end. When I got there, the lady said, I just want to take you to see what is happening and if that area could be remedied. But I said, do you have somewhere to stay for tonight? She said, I have a family that we are going by. Herself and her mom and I don't know if it's her brother or whoever, there was another member of the family there, and they went there. Every person had somebody to go by. So even when the CDC asked, do we need to have the shelters, I said we have place that we can move to immediately set of shelters, but everybody have a friend and a family that open their doors and allow for the help. And this is what the Prime Minister, this is the same thing what Mr. Bishop Edghill is saying, the Minister of Public Works. This is what we got to do, not necessarily come to politicize everything or to put blame over there and there. What are you doing? Come out to help the people, not to look at, oh, this amount was spent, this what you didn't do this and I didn't do that. Because really and truly, let me say this before I come to a close here. Hadn't the government intervened and hadn't the cleanup happened before, the independence cleanup before this flood, it would have been worse. And both the municipality and the RDC, this was beyond us. This is a disaster. It was beyond us. But the government's quick response was able to rescue the situation as it is right now.
Thank you so much, Tom Clark Gasper. And we move things back to Minister of Public Works. Minister, the team is in Linden now. Your team is in Linden. We have the Office of the Prime Minister in Linden right now on the grounds. What are some of the preparations to help alleviate this from re-happening or, the same thing, reoccurring again?
Well, the collaboration between the Ministry of Public Works and the NDIA is very strategic. We will have to do a road closure in that Fairs Rust area for about 3 hours. This morning, we cost to be delivered about 10 HDD pipes, 32 inches diameter, bigger flow of waters they have to insert and restore. The other thing that we're doing is the shoulders of the roads are higher than the roads. So when you have rainfall and the water can't run to the drains, the drains are already clogged. Bearing in mind the drains got grass and nettle and yellow leaf and tires and everything, it's already clogged. But then even what could run from the shoulders were so high, so we have to scrape all the shoulders, remove that material. Then we have to clean the drains and cart away what is coming off out of the drains. And then we have to engage the smaller manual labor to clean certain specific areas. Now, I don't want to venture into this area, but we will kindly ask those who have actually put up structures, whether you're vending a small business and you build over the drain, you got a responsibility here now. We got to be able to clean under that area, so at least you get out, get your spade. We're not going to say we want to break you down, because in an emergency, you cut roads. In an emergency, you cut roads and you got to restore it. But we're not going to break down anybody's structures, but we want you to come out and clean so that the water can flow and pass. So we will continue to be engaged. There's a contractor that is mobilized to fix the washaway that occurred near the Karakara Bridge. In the Fairs Rust area, a contractor is engaged. In Nykodok, the CDC is doing all of the internal drains, but there are contractors and the NDIA machines that are cleaning the entire perimeter to make sure the water flow. They have to put a dam in the Fairs Rust area to stop the water that was coming from the mines flowing into Nykodok. and we have redirected the water. On the Whisper Shore, we have a washaway there at that road. What's the name of that road?
Sunflowers.
No, where we have the road broken.
That's Bucktown Road.
Bucktown Road. We have to put in some culverts there. The engineers have already known that, so we're going to have the experts put in the elevation and make sure we get the water flow, so we wouldn't have a repeat of that.
Yeah.
There is some work that will have to be done at Ice Creek, you call that, crossing over to Block 22.
Yeah. That's right.
So put it this way. Right now, we are ready to award based upon public procurement.
Yeah.
Another 32 roads in Linden. We can't go with that. The emergency nature of what needs to be done is to fix, restore life, and then we're going to continue with our program. So we're adding improvements and all the rest of it. Now, let me answer criticism that has been made. And, you know, public officials got a responsibility to be factual and truthful. You know what they're actually telling the people of Linden? Before you build a road, build drains. Now, you know the cost for drainage in Amelia's Ward? So the people of Amelia's Ward are asking us to fix their roads. We are making the roads with a design that the water could run at the corner of the road and get into an outfall. They would like us to dig and put in concrete drains, which means if we start doing that, which is the suggestion that is coming from the elected officials because they want to sound professional, they want to sound like if they know what is happening. There will be no roads in Linden for the next 10 years because the cost of drains are much more costly than the cost of roads. And the people who are asking us to now go and build drains and stop building roads are the people who've been governing Linden for the last 58 years. Over 58 years.
Pre-independence.
Pre-independence. So they're governing Linden all the time. And now they're saying to the government who's building roads, stop building roads and build drains. Now, the people of Linden have said to us what they want is the roads. And because we have a high concentration of sand in some areas, loam, we have to be able to put the technology in place for the soakaways, and we have to be able to get the water as we come down the hills to run off to the creek. And the engineers have done a fantastic job of designing that. But some places we've had diversions, and we have to be able to look at that. Where the cocals are not adequate, people think that they need to be bigger, we're putting additional. So the interventions are being made. And like I said earlier, we are guided as a government. The Prime Minister who's here could benefit people. It's people first. People. We are focused on how we're going to help people. If we are about people, our government is about people. It's not about projects and how much money spent. It's about how we are helping people. And all the interventions that was led off, that the Prime Minister spoke about, is about how we could help people. The second thing I noticed is that there's a wicked, malicious Facebook post showing that we are giving people detergent and cleaning agents, but in Borbis, we give $1 billion to farmers. Oh man, we have to be responsible. In 2021, the floods of Kokwani, Borbis, and the rest of it, water was on the land for 3 weeks. People had to literally move out of their homes. 3 weeks. The Prime Minister, the President, went to those areas several times. People's cow died, goat died. I mean, it wasn't just about water coming in one night and then we get the emergency response and we drain it off. Yeah. The water could not move. 3 weeks. And you're going to put up a post like that to create some sense of uncertainty and to make a case of discrimination. It means you're callous, insensitive, and incapable of communicating from an intellectual standpoint. So you could only find yellow things. It's called yellow journalism. The people around here would know that's called yellow journalism. And I want to reject that and rebuke it in the strongest possible terms, because the mischief that is being made is to interfere with the minds of people, you know. Look, they give $1 billion to people. And you will recall that the process of flood relief came long after the event.
Yes.
The NDIA, the NARI, the Ghana Livestock Development Authority had to go in, do an assessment, a report had to come, and people didn't even get compensated for what they lost. They just got some relief so that they could start back their lives. So we had water that run off in a day or two. How you going to compare the same things? We had floods where people couldn't cook because there was no kitchen. And we have to be able, and I think it's useful, sir, that we have this opportunity here on radio this afternoon to communicate this to people.
And that's why we're here, because we operate as the voice of the people and allow you, the people to interact and allow you to give people credible information and accurate information as to what is happening and what should be happening as well.
But for someone to even suggest that it's because the flag raising was held in Linden, that's what caused the flooding. It's ridiculous. Lindeners, go on Facebook and look what is happening in Region 8, Region 9. The water levels are here, higher than the tire of a vehicle. We have to stop trucks. And people in, not the people, the elected officials of Region 9, are they concerned that the fact that the road to Lethem is cut off, that people might not get food in a timely manner in Region 9? Have they even sent out a thought, a word? But we're just playing petty politics, and I find that to be objectionable. As we speak now, we are transporting material. This morning, at the opening of Mr. Ming's business, trucks were there loading with culverts to go and deal with some of the flooding. You could see the bridge at the Rupununi. The Prime Minister is more of an expert in this way because he heads up the CDC and he has his own skill. But Brazil, Brazil had floods. How many lives we lost there in Brazil?
Over 100 people.
100 people. Loss of vehicles. People's vehicles were washed
Some
away.
areas are still under flood. Some farms have flooded in Brazil, southern Brazil. It's terrible.
So the whole thing here is that we had some extraterrestrial rains that created some situations, and again it allowed us to recognize where some drains are clogged, where some work needs to be done, and persons now recognize what they need to do from all insurgents, right? Question is posed for those persons who might be affected or who will be affected in the future if there's an hotline that they can reach out to for some assistance.
One of the things I want to mention, we have the Civil Defense Commission, which is a central agency. Each region will have the regional Civil Defense Commission, right? Now, in Region 10, I don't know if the regional chairman knows this. The regional chairman is the head of the regional Civil Defense Committee. And he should have met with his committee, form his committee, and he should have been meeting with his committee and planning for the upcoming rainy season, which is no longer upcoming, it's now on us. And had he done that, had he formed that regional disaster committee and properly lead that committee, he would have known that he would have had to identify several projects that must be done in preparation for the rainy season. Digging of the drains, clearing all those rivers and creeks and everything and so. Right? And I mean, Linden, just take a map of Linden or the plan and do some cerebral work. These guys are university educated guys. Sit down with the map, right?
do some brainstorming, and then walk the ground. See the areas that need attention, talk to the people, get the people involved. That's what leadership is all about.
Yeah.
That's why you elect your leaders. You elect your leaders to lead you. Right? To prepare a safe environment for you. Right? To make Linden more economically viable. Right? That's why they stand for election, because they went to the people and they tell the people, look, I am capable of leading you. I am capable of dealing with all the problems that confront the people in Linden. So, Mr. Chairman, form your disaster committee, start meeting, get your plans together, and have the linkage with the Civil Defense Commission. What was started here, we must maintain the momentum. For example, you identify the Edward Benjamin Center as a possible shelter, visit it with your committee, and identify what needs to be done there. Fix the toilets, fix the lighting, fix the cooking facilities, so it becomes a shelter. So if you get rain again in the next 48 hours, right, you have a shelter that people could move to, right? These are the little things that the people of Linden will see you doing. They will benefit from it, and they will respect you for it, because that is what leadership is about.
Well said, Honorable Prime Minister. To Mr. Gaspar Tom Clark, the question is posed as to if there is a hotline number that persons can follow to when in need of assistance.
Yes, Dan, I'm happy to answer that question. The fact that we did not have that person or the persons to be able to establish or to put them into the shelter, we were just able to identify the possible area for the shelter, and so there is not yet a number as per se. What I know is that a resident of Nikada called me at 2 something in the morning, and I have no problem with any resident of Linden calling me. My number is 6150202. That's my number, that's Linden's number. Right? Anyone can call if the situation is more than what you think you can handle and there is need for you to move. You can go ahead and call. But I'm saying we don't have a specific number as per se, but we have the area or the place earmarked should we need. And as the Prime Minister mentioned, this is the time where the chairman, the mayor, need to let us sit down, go in, see what is needed in the space at Edward Benjamin right now. Should we have need to use the area for a person to use as a shelter? You have the washroom area that needs some work or some attention. We do have the kitchen facility area in the other wing. That's the wing that most persons would rent out. That needs some attention. So that is what we need to do. Move into action now. And it's the thing is, Dan, this is not new to the regional chairman. This is not new to the mayors. Every year this happens. Every year. And so, as the Prime Minister would have posited, they need to always have these plans ahead of time. Prepare ahead of time, so that when this happens, we are well ready, we are well set. And this is why we're saying here now, we have the Edward Benjamin earmark. We do have a shelter in Richmond Hill, but it is occupied presently. We still need to check it out to make sure that those persons who are there, if they don't, that they don't overstay their time. We also would need to establish one in Christianburg and the other one in Wismar. We do have various community centers that we would need to check in at and to see if there is some way we can use them as shelters if need be. But we need to sit at the top. But some people choose to use this platform as a political, for political grandstanding. And this is not the time for that. You don't play politics with people's livelihood, with people's need for help and support.
Yeah.
This is not the time for that. Election is next year, campaigning is next year. Let's come to the table and let's talk. Where is the disaster preparedness or readiness committee from the RDC? There is not a disaster preparedness committee in the municipality. We need to start considering having that committee.
Yeah.
I did talk about a task force, so that when we have emergency, we have an emergency task force to get out and get work done.
Yeah.
But they were talking about basically dealing with how we pay these people a retainers fee and all of that. That's what we have to look at. But what is going on with the disaster preparedness committee?
If you're serious about development, and I want to repeat this to my comrades who in leadership role in Linden to understand, if you're serious about development and you're planning for development, you have to plan for disasters.
Yeah.
Because the disasters disrupt the development process.
That's right.
So you have to be holistic in your planning. Many countries that suffer from disasters, more complex emergencies than us. We have a flooding that's associated with our rainy season. Some other countries have hurricanes, they have earthquakes, mudslides. You know, in Papua New Guinea, 2,000 people are missing.
Things that are not prepared for.
And now they're trying to evacuate the other people who live in there because there's a threat of further mudslides in the area.
Yeah.
We don't have that. We have flooding associated with heavy rainfall. We can plan better for that. We can exercise our leaders to better manage the interagency emergency response for that. And we can make our people better aware of what they must do in times of disaster.
I think that's very important. as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need our leaders at the political level, right, at the administrative level, to work at the regional level, the local government level, the municipal level, with the central government. So as a country, we can be better prepared for disaster. We've done a lot of work in Region 9. Yes, they're suffering from flooding and the roads and so, you know, damage, and we have to keep repairing the road.
Yeah.
But the regional chairman and the RDC, right, the mayor and the councillors of the town of Lethem, they're going through the same exercise of having the regional disaster committee involved in dealing with the flooding in Region 9. What we need in Region 10 is what is happening in Region 9. Stop the blame game and get to work. Now it's time for action.
Totally agree with you.
I think one of
Right.
the things we didn't mention, one of the things that we didn't mention in all of this with the heavy rainfall, this is also the period of the high tide.
Yeah.
So that would have also contributed to this, the kind of flood. And the water, as soon as the tide changed, the water ran off. So this whole blame game and talking about who didn't do and who didn't dig, the facts are clogging, the high tide,
Yeah.
and the excessive rainfall, which would have increased the amount of water running through the drains and the culverts and cocas and all of that. So what is this thing? Let's, as the Prime Minister just said, let's stop the blame game and get to work.
Totally agree
If I
with you.
could
Yeah.
take this opportunity, Prime Minister, because I slipped out. My colleague, Minister Dar, was able to make connections so we could communicate. And I would like to give a report. I know members of the media have been calling all day to find out what is happening with the crossing at, in that corridor that has been broken away. We have several pieces of equipment on site, trucks, excavators, We have a stockpile of material. But the sad news is we're unable to start filling the breach because of the force of the water. So we have to find a mechanism to reduce the force of the water so that we can be able to get into it. So at this time, we're unable to report that the breach is sealed. The force of the water is just too much. There's just too much water at this time. If we put the material in, it all will be washed away. And what we've actually done, we sent in 1 ton bags, like how the cement come in the 1 ton bags. So we're filling those bags to put, because we understand if you leave the material loose. But even with that effort, it is, if they wash the whole truck away, you can and you know, a truck is not 1 ton.
That's right. That's a 40-ton truck.
And it was late. And it was late. So the update from that corridor is that it is still impassable. Engineers, contractors are on site, and we will look our best estimates based upon discussions and time and what needs to be done is that we're looking forward for getting traffic moving there by noon tomorrow.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we're well into an hour with this very important discussion and very important update as well. Very informative. Before we wrap, just quickly between Minister Edghill or our Clark, do we have a number, any number that you can share the amount of persons that have been displaced or heading into shelters?
We don't have a number of persons heading into shelters. All the persons that I would have spoken to and interacted with, like I said earlier, they have family and friends that would have opened their doors to them. So they did not require moving into a shelter. But we do have the shelter ready, because Prime Minister would have explained that this is where we are in that season. And so most likely we are expecting more rainfall. And should this reoccur, we have places earmarked, and we are still to find other places for the Wisma side and for other areas or community. We are still to make sure we identify areas and go check it out. And this is where we are calling on the RDC. We are calling on the mayor, we are calling on the chairman and councillors to come out and let's together move towards finding location and areas should there be a reoccurrence, rather than to sit and to blame and to try to politicize this situation. Let us come out and work together, put our shoulders to the wheel.
Thank you so much, Tom Clark.
Let me repeat. I just mentioned it. I want to repeat again. Form the Regional Disaster Committee. Regional Disaster Preparedness Committee. Not too late.
Yes.
It's there on paper. In fact, somebody had shared it in one of the chat group that there is a document, right, for Region 10. Region 10 Preparedness for Disaster document. The regional chairman should get that document, share it with all his councillors, read it, have a session, read it, and implement what is in that document. And I'm quite aware all the steps, all the education that they need to prepare Region 10 and Linden for disaster. It's in that document. It was a study done. And people from Linden was involved in the study. And as the regional chairman find the document and read the document, let them share it with the town clerk, with the mayor and the councillors. And let us prepare ourselves once and for all, so when the next set of rainfall comes, which may be, who knows, in the next 48 hours, we're in a better stead. We already have a shelter identified. We identify the additional shelters, identify what needs to be done to bring it up to the standard where it can accommodate people. We at CDC ready to help. If you need camp cots, you need mattresses, all these things, we can help you.
Yes.
But we can only help you if you start by helping yourselves.
Thank you so much.
I know you asked
Minister.
earlier about a number that people could call.
Yeah.
But I didn't give a number. But I got messages in from Cara that apparently we missed a couple of people with cleaning agents in the Cara area. So thanks for contacting me. I know they're listening to the program. That's the kind of feedback we need.
Yeah.
We're going to address that immediately.
They can call the council number if there's those persons who need assistance. The town clerk's office is 444-4010, and I did give my cell phone number out, 615-0202. So for those persons who are calling stating that they did not get any of the detergent and cleaning agents, we'll make arrangement to get those to you. So it's 444-4010 or 615-0202.
And the CDC has a number that they're operating from?
Not
Just
yes,
the town
I will
clerk.
have to.
The town clerk's office. The CDC will get to
Yes.
All right, so let me say thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister and Minister Juan Edghill, Minister of Public Works, and the Town Clerk for the Linden Mayor and Town Council, Mr. Lennox Gasper, for coming through and sharing with our listeners, giving this very important update, and also clearing up certain issues and misleading information that may be out there. And we thank you guys for your speedy, assistance to our residents and of course those persons who were heavily affected. We want to thank you guys for giving us your undivided attention. You just got the update from the Office of the Prime Minister, Minister Edghill, Ministry of Public Works, and of course from the Mayor and Town Council, Lennox Gasper, the Councillor, the Town Clerk rather, and of course we'll be giving you extensive updates as time persists with this situation. Thank you so much for coming through. And thank you guys for sharing with us and being here and using our medium to dispel this bit of information.